back to another episode of Bucs Weekly. I am your host, Jeff Barnes, and boy, oh boy, do we have to talk some Bucs football. Because, of course, it is the same song. The Bucs went and dropped another game that they could not afford to lose as they are clinging to a very slim lead here in the NFC North, NFC South, excuse me. So, at 5-6, it is the same song. We saw it again. The same lackluster offense, the same defense that breaks at an inopportune time, causing the Bucs a loss to a Cleveland team that is also in disarray as they await the return of their $200 million quarterback, Deshaun Watson, this week as they go back to Houston, just getting through the Jacoby Brissett last start of the season. They come out, they play the Bucs not only tough, but they go to overtime. They score late, tie the game at 17 to go into overtime, and the unthinkable happens. The Bucs offense can't make any headway in overtime. The Browns defense holds. The Browns offense goes and scores. Not only do they win, they score a touchdown, right? Which, that's it. There's nothing coming back from that. Not in the playoffs, you get another shot. Regular season, you score a touchdown. It's game over in overtime. Right, the Browns went and scored a touchdown. Right, if you're going to lose in overtime, lose on a field goal, get stopped, and lose on a field goal. Don't give up 6, and they did just that. They broke and gave up 6 in overtime. They're not only losing, but losing in fashion that people hate to lose, and nobody wants to give up that 6 in overtime. The Bucs did just that in their latest loss, falling now below 500. Yet still clinging to a very, very, very razor-thin lead in the NFC South at 5-6. 4-7 are the Falcons right behind them. And 4-8 are these pesky Saints who are going to come here to Tampa Bay on Monday. Right? So we're going to talk about that. But we're going to really, really talk about what's going on. You know, we had Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving layover's over, all right? You had your turkey. You've had all your trimmings. You know, if you were having a really good time, you're having some of the, you know, the liquid courage, you know, and enjoying your long weekend if you had a chance to have a long weekend. I know I did. But, you know, this is the situation for the Bucs. You had the chance to build some breathing room in the South. We've seen how the South is. It's competitive against each other, not very competitive outside of the division. Well, the Bucs come back. We talked last time we saw each other was before the bye. They come out of Munich with a big win over the Seahawks. They even the record of 5-5 and going into the bye week. They go into the bye week and they come out with this. You know, if you're a fan, you're frustrated. As a guy who covers a team, it could be frustrating covering a team when they're this inconsistent. But, I mean, nobody can be any more frustrated than these guys. Well, let's start with this guy. He's not used to this. This don't happen to him. The guy sitting next to him has endured this at times in his playing career. He hasn't endured this really with this organization. They had the rough year, his first year when they had Jameis. But what you're not seeing anymore out of this Bucs team is that team that we saw the last 2 years, the team that won the Super Bowl, the team that went to the playoffs last year and fell just short of the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams in the playoffs. We're not seeing that team that carried that swagger. Where is that team? Where is that team going to? Where have they relocated to? The team with swagger. Not the face from Tom Brady you just saw on my screen a minute ago. How about this face? The confident guy. The guy that says, I'm going to kick your butt for 60 minutes. Where are these guys? Because we're not seeing them this year. You may have saw them week 1 in Dallas. You may have saw them for a half in New Orleans that week 2 went. We haven't seen these guys. Maybe we've seen a glimpse of them in Munich when they beat the Seahawks. But this team right now, when you're watching how they're playing, you're not seeing that swagger anymore. And they don't have, and honestly, we've seen everything. They've had defensive dinners together, trying to build camaraderie, and they've tried to do everything to shake it up. And I give Todd Bowles credit; he's tried to get a little creative at times. But how do you fix this? I mean, we talked about a lot of the things that have gone wrong with this team. All right, we talked about the offensive line. You got Nick Leverett now at left guard because Luke Goedeke got hurt. Luke Goedeke was playing okay. He wasn't playing like an all-pro. Wasn't playing horrible. Running game was inconsistent. It found new life in the last few weeks. Showed signs of life. Fell back off a cliff this week. But where is that team that we saw? You had Julio Jones. Yeah, you have Godwin starting to round back to form. You still have Mike Evans. 17 points against the Browns team. That's given up a lot of points this year, even with Myles Garrett. They had no answer for Garrett. Garrett gave them fits. Let's talk about that Cleveland secondary that's been torched this year. Torched. I mean, on both sides. They've turned that toast over. Not the Bucs, so he didn't toast them. Scraped together 17 points. The things that they're missing this year are quite evident. Okay? Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is a young pass rusher, a young developing pass rusher. He is not what Jason Pierre-Paul was during that Super Bowl run. Nassib, Nelson are good rotational pieces. They have not really ascended this pass rush. Shaq Barrett in and out of the lineup. Quite evident they miss him playing at top form. Nick's in and out of the lineup. He's been back for a few weeks. He's made some plays, but overall, it hasn't overall translated to this defense being what it was. Cleveland ran the ball on them. Nobody ran the ball on this defense for the past 2 years. This season, teams have found ways to run the football on the Bucs. They have taken the physicality to the Bucs on a whole new level this year. It's a problem. These linebackers aren't shining like they were the past 2 years. This secondary, often injured, finally coming back as a whole, still having some issues. There are real problems with this team. And that's just the defense. When you look at the offense, like we talked about, the guy that makes this offense, obviously made this offense go. We got all the other pieces except for him and AB. I don't think they miss AB as much as they miss Gronkowski. He was a matchup nightmare for defenses inside, whether it was red zone, whether it was third down, whether it was 20-20 in the middle of the field. It didn't matter. Gronkowski was a matchup nightmare for defenses. They had to come up with special plans for him. If they didn't stop him, it was a long day for your defense. It's showing that they're missing that. They don't get anywhere near the production out of the tight end position. It doesn't create any matchups inside. Teams are able to match up with these wide receivers, bracket certain guys, play honest against certain other receivers, make those guys work, and it is working. They are struggling to score 20 points. Struggling. That is not a Tom Brady-led offense. That is why his face looks like this. When does he look defeated? How often does he look defeated? This face is making itself a home on the Bucs sideline because it's happening too often. And I don't blame him because he can't fix that. This is not going to be fixed by Tom Brady, folks. I'll be honest with you. He can't fix this. There has to be some kind of magic change schematically that you're going to have to make up for with the guys you have, because you're not going to be able to do anything else. Let's be realistic. There's not going to be any magic tight end walking through that door. And even if Gronkowski comes in at this point in the season, It'll be weeks before he gets back up to speed, gets back in shape, where he can consistently contribute. And you better hope he stays healthy. Otherwise, you have wasted your money. Right? There is a serious, serious problem. And that is why you're not seeing that team playing with this swagger anymore. It's gone. It has left the building. So, where are we now with this? Well, 5-6. We said you better win the division to get to the playoffs. Well, guess what? You're winning your division by a razor thin margin, and that margin could disappear just like that. And as far as wild card, well, the NFC East right now has cornered the market on wild cards with the resurgence of the Washington Commanders, but the Giants still hovering above 500 at 7-4. The Cowboys trying to chase down the Eagles at 8-3. They're not relinquishing a wild card anytime soon. You could have the whole division walk into the playoffs and everybody else in the NFC sitting at home if you're not a division winner. That is the reality that the Bucs face. It is NFC South or bust because you ain't guaranteed a wild card spot the way things are going right now for you. You're a game under 500. You need this win this week versus the Saints, a hated rival, a team that we saw how it was the last time you played them. It got ugly. And guess what? The way things are going, it could get ugly again. I'm pretty sure the NFL will send out a memo to both teams. I'm pretty sure they'll tell the referees what we want to see, what we're expecting from the refs. But right now, if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your confidence and your ego has to be as fragile as Mr. Glass. Plain and simple. That's just the way it is right now. That's the way that 2022 has gone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You are in a situation where you must win more games than you lose at an exponential rate over these last 6 games. You've played 11 games. You are under 500. You really should run the table to have your best chance. But, so it's a but. Okay, in this situation, 5 out of 6 will work. 4 out of 6 could work. 3 out of 6 is a little dicey. You may win the division, but you're not setting yourself up for success winning 3 out of your last 6 and squeezing into the playoffs. Not at 8-9. Winning a division at 8-9, hosting a playoff here in Tampa Bay, the way they're playing, if they keep idling along the way they're going, struggling to score 20, defense breaking at key moments, inconsistent running the football, struggling to protect Tom Brady, etc., etc. You know, the record keeps playing. You've heard this story. You've heard this song. Like I said, that like music was saying, same song. There's a reason why I picked that song to start the show. Okay, because it has been the same song. We've talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. And 2 in a row, we started to see a different Bucs team. We started to look like we were possibly getting that team back again with that swagger. Well, that quickly went away in Cleveland. A game that they should have won. A game that they were winning. A game that they could have put away. At the end of a football game, unless it's a tie, when somebody wins and loses, there's a team that says we did it, and there's a team that says that we should have done it. We should have done this. We should have. Well, that is the Bucs right now. We should have. That has been their season. We should have so far through 11 games. We should be better than 5-6. We should be better than every team in our division by more than the game. We should. Key word is should. That word should keeps coming back and back and back. There's something wrong with the Bucs. We've touched on it. They can't seem to figure out that part of the equation. They can't seem to figure it out. It worked out in Munich. It worked out against the Rams. A tight game against a bad Rams team. We've talked about that. We were happy for the win. They got the win. We got the monkey off the back. We get the losing streak over. We get back to some winning games. We go to Munich, get the big win, 2 in a row, and we go to Dubai and go to Cleveland, and then there's a bad egg. So, it's games like this, times like this, that make you thirsty. You need a drink. Sometimes it's a hard drink. Whatever it is, you want it nice and cold, right? So, with that being said, you need a cold drink. We got exciting news for you. With the holidays right around the corner, Yeti now has a holiday gift with purchase promotion running on the site today through December 19th. Purchase $200 or more in Yeti products and receive 2 Rambler 10-ounce low-ball tumblers in your choice of black, stainless steel, seafoam, or navy. Get your Yeti today. So, just like that, we're going to go to another break. We'll be back with more Bucs Weekly. We're going to start talking about that big rivalry with the Saints. So, we will be right back.
Enjoy 40% off site-wide. Vitable takes the guesswork out of feeling good. Get your own personalized daily vitamin pack safely delivered to your doorstep every month. Take their online quiz to find out which vitamins and minerals can support your personal needs based on your own diet and lifestyle. Hashtag only what you need, nothing that you don't. All vitamins are manufactured in Australia at the highest quality standard. Ingredients come in the best form for their absorption by your body. Enjoy 40% off site-wide using code NBS40 at checkout.
Hey, football fans. We have a great offer for you from one of our newest partners, FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up for a new FanDuel account today by using our special link located in our show description, and you will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That means that you can bet up to $1,000 on your first wager risk-free. FanDuel will give you the amount you wagered back in free bets if you lose. So go ahead and bet on your favorite team this Sunday. And even if they lose, you are taken care of. To claim the special offer, just click the link in the description and create a new account. That's it. Win some money at FanDuel today. Well, what can you say? The Bucs are in the jam right now. They really are. We talked about it, 5-6, razor thin margin of a lead. And one of the teams that's on their rear end right now is that Saints team that gave them so many problems in week 2 that almost sent them to 500 after 2 games. They pulled that game out. But we saw the fallout from that. Evans, of course, getting suspended for his part in the altercation with Lattimore. We saw how things broke down there. I expect it to be another chippy game. I expect the refs to be looking out for that. This is a big rivalry. These two teams do not get along. The Saints know that any chance of them making the playoffs goes to knocking these Bucs off and trying to stake a claim to their portion of the NFC South. The Bucs know they got to bury these guys once and for all. And then they got to bury the Falcons to really take hold of this division. So, at this point, Monday Night Football, only show in town. Tampa Bay hosting the New Orleans Saints. This time, not led by former Buccaneer Jameis Winston, but Andy Dalton. Okay, so we've talked about the Bucs. So let's talk about the opponent right now. Once again, Michael Thomas was supposed to be his big return, out for the year, another injury. Chris Olave has come on strong. He was my number one receiver in the draft. If you watch Draft Central, NBS Draft Central, I guess, will start up right before Senior Bowl week. So make sure you tune in. Of course, with the logo, right out the way, NBS Draft Central in the house. Okay, so make sure you tune in January. But we're not talking draft right now. We're talking Monday Night Football. So Chris Olave comes in as the number one receiver. They're starting to see Traquan Smith and those guys make some plays. Not consistently. They were just blanked by the Niners last week. Kamara still there. So they still have some weapons. But they have a weak link. Besides the fact that they don't score enough points. One of the reasons why is they have a quarterback named Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was a very respectable quarterback. Pretty good career in Cincinnati. Goes to Dallas as a backup one year. You know how that went for him. Now he's in New Orleans. Okay? So, Andy Dalton now here in New Orleans as a backup. And just right now, I think as a Bucs fan, you have to be happy that they did this. Because if you're looking at the Saints offense, it does not look any better than when it had Jameis Winston out there with a bad back. Think about that. He had a bad back, and they were inconsistent, but they were better than what they are right now. They were. And people will say, well, Jameis, this, Jameis. Yes, he threw the interceptions versus the Bucs with a bad back. We all knew that. We all knew he was in that game compromised. Right? But I'll take that bad back over the guy that just doesn't have it. He doesn't. Right? Andy Dalton does not have it. There's nothing in any game we've seen so far that says this guy is still capable of playing at a high level. He doesn't. He doesn't. So it is even more imperative for the Bucs defense to show up this week. Because plain and simple, if you can't stop this version of Andy Dalton, your season is over. Because you're not going to stop any team in the playoffs. But you can't stop this guy. This guy whose best receiver is a rookie. Who has his best weapon on offense other than that wide receiver is a running back who is basically the same skill set as Christian McCaffrey and just as brittle. This is what you're facing. The offensive line for the Saints, not as good as we've seen in the past. We've seen that. The offensive scheme, not as good as when Sean Payton was there. You see that without Sean Payton there, that offense doesn't have the same pop. They didn't have a lot of pop last year. But, geez, it really doesn't have anything of what Sean Payton had. It's the same offensive coordinator. You could tell Sean Payton had a hand in that offense last year. It doesn't look anything like what we saw. There's no consistency to it. You have a coach in Dennis Allen who right now is showing you his second time as a head coach is looking pretty rough. It's looking a lot like the first time. The first time they got him fired at the time with the Raiders. We're not going to say whether it was Oakland. I believe it was Oakland. But they're not Oakland anymore. They're Vegas now. But they got him fired with the Raiders in his stint as a head coach there. Okay. They're the team that you put out of their misery. How you do that is you beat them on Monday for the sweep. You end any chance of them winning the division with that. You get yourself back to 500. You separated yourself from them. And hopefully you separate yourself from the Falcons and the Panthers in the process and continue to build towards some kind of playoff run. That is what the recipe needs to be for Monday night. That's what needs to happen. Do you trust that to happen? He just lost to Jacoby Brissett in his swan song before he goes to holding a clipboard for a guy who hasn't played a snap in 2 years. Think about that. The Browns, who were in disarray because basically their whole season was tied up in a guy that hasn't played yet. And now that same guy is coming in to play this weekend for them, right, after not playing for 2 years. They're not even giving him a week to warm up. Give him a couple of snaps in this game and let Jacoby start. No, they're throwing him in their feet first. They're going to get their $200 million worth. So you lost to the guy that was just holding a spot for him. Think about it. We lost to that guy. We could potentially lose to another guy this week on Monday night if we play like we've played all of these weeks that have led to 6 losses out of 11 games. Because it's not going to be easy throwing the ball against these guys. It's not going to be easy. Playing against a team that knows us so well, it gets under our skin. It's not going to be easy when the face we constantly see from our leaders are this and this. This is not going to be easy. They just got their butt whipped by San Francisco. They got blanked. And to show you how hard-headed they are, they're not switching back to Jameis now that he's healthy. They're staying with Andy Dalton. They're trying to give this to you. Got to take it. Got to take it. I don't know what else to say. You got to take it. You got to win this game. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to win this game. You don't win this game, your season is all on you. You have to look in the mirror if you're a Buccaneer and say, why is our season going so wrong? Well, just uncover that mirror and stare at it for a while, because that's where the answer lies. Okay? Because if you go out there and lose to this New Orleans team the way they're playing right now, they ain't on nobody but you. That is all on you. Look right in that mirror and say, yeah, buddy, I did this to me. You are the better team than what's on that field for New Orleans right now. You came back and beat them when they were playing better in their own dome. They're going to come here a team that is far worse than the team you beat week 2. If you can't beat this team now in week 13, well, just wash your hands of the season, because that's what you've basically done. You may get into the playoffs with a division lead and a win, but you're not going to make it very far playing like this. Just let's face it, this is not the team that's been in the playoffs the last 2 years. It's not that team. You're not playing anything like that team. Not even like a quarter worth of what they were. You're not. You're not that team defensively. You're not that team offensively. You're not the team on special teams. You're not that team. This 22 team has to really, really do a gut check and figure it out. And they better start Monday night. They got to beat New Orleans. You cannot have a bad loss versus the Saints this week. If you go and lose to the Fighting Andy Daltons, you deserve not to make the playoffs. And that's just a fact. So, with all said and done, it comes down to predictions. What do I predict for this team on Monday night versus the New Orleans Saints? The team wearing the fleur-de-lis with the guy with the red head under the helmet trying to lead them to a win against this Bucs defense. I don't see it happening. I do see the Bucs winning. I do see it being a fight. I do see it being nasty. Don't be surprised if you see something similar to this. Not as bad. But I do have the Bucs pulling it out. 20 to 13. 20-13 Tampa Bay. You get the 20. Barely. You're going to get the 20. against a bad Bucs team that couldn't score last week. They couldn't put up a field goal. Think about a field goal. You lose this game. You make me out to look like a fool this time. Oh boy, next week's show's gonna be fun. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You lose this game, it will be fun next week. Yes. Boy, oh boy, I can't even be a homer for you. I can't. Not if you lose to the Fighting Andy Daltons. You lose to the Fighting Andy Daltons, all bets are off. I will bring Buckified on here, let him be the homer for me because I can't. It would defy it would defy my integrity to be a homer for you at that point. I haven't been a homer yet this season. I've picked against the Bucs enough this season. This is a game you should win. This is the game you look at the matchup. The Bucs should win this game. And if they lose to the Saints, then they're really, really, really in trouble. The season really should be over. You should not lose to any Dalton and the Saints. So I have final prediction: 2013, Tampa Bay over New Orleans on Monday Night Football. Let's see if they prove me right this time. So there's no other way to end the show. All right, Bucs Weekly here. Jeff Barnes on the new Team NBS Media. That's right. We are not Nuts and Bolts Sports anymore. We are now Team NBS Media because why? We are more than just sports. So thank you for tuning in. I will see you next week on Bucs Weekly. The hiatus is over. The hangovers are over for Thanksgiving. Boy, oh boy, it better be over for you Bucs. All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Saints. There better not be a hangover on Monday night. You guys better snap out of it and get this W. All right? But I can't end the show without, of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself ending it off for us. So I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let him say it. See you next time.
Go Bucs, baby.
Bucs Weekly is presented by Team NBS Media. More than just sports.